life.
I just got lime everywhere. These daggone Mexican loggers, they get me every time. And technically, a lot of these craft beers don't need a lime. I just like them.
They don't. The lime is a twofold part of the craft
Because I
Mexican
used
lager.
to look at it as like a cover-up for a bad beer.
Correct. That's called Corona, in my opinion.
Well.
But for a lot of these, a lot of it's the aromatics anyway. We in food and beer, we start with our eyes,
Yeah.
and then it's our nose. So even the head on a beer like this one releases CO2s. You can go check out Zach Roskop. He just did a post on Knox Brew Hub that talks about
not
this.
too long ago, right?
Yeah.
Like today.
Might have been today, yeah. But it is, you get there with your nose first because that's going to release that flavor profile. But even the lime also is going to tell your nose, which tells your brain on how this is going to taste.
Yeah.
So even just having it on the glass next to where you're drinking is going to enhance whatever lime or Mexican flavors that they're
it's nice.
trying. It is
I like
nice.
it. It's very nice. Which we're here. We're paired by beer today on the Waking Up in a Brewery page.
Yep.
Audio listeners, of course, you're always paired by beer, so thank you for chiming in.
Correct, yep.
But if you are watching live, we were supposed to do Waking Up in a Brewery today, as scheduled, but Alex has diarrhea.
Yeah, maybe. He's indisposed. Whatever that is, Alex is indisposed. He may even comment on here.
He got nervous that Jenny was coming home, so immediate diarrhea.
Yeah.
He's got the house a mess right now.
Jenny made him shit himself. But yes, we are here and we're paired by beer. And this is our actual first, and maybe last, depending.
Maybe last.
But our first live video of Paired by Beer.
Yeah, we have previous audios. This would technically be our 6th episode.
Yep.
And we have 5 others that are all on Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen to stuff on. So they're there. You should go check them out.
Still all under the umbrella of Waking Up in a Brewery. And we are at a different place than all of our other audios.
We are. It was because of our episode today. But, we are at Hexagon Brewing.
Yes.
Out in the good old northeast Knoxville. Is this what you consider it? Yes.
I will also say that, just as our usual disclaimer, you may hear music, you may hear sounds, we do not own the rights to any of the music. It is the ambient sounds of the brewery that we're in. And you may not pick it up. These mics are pretty good, so, but we decided to do it live on YouTube. We want more YouTube content for you as the viewers, to be able to chime in or watch or whatever, and you can put it up on your TV or whatever else.
Yeah.
But this is a podcast. Obviously, our audio listeners know what this podcast is.
Yep.
If you've only been watching on YouTube or you've only been watching on Facebook, we're both hosts of the Waking Up in a Brewery podcast, along with our other host, Alex.
Who has diarrhea.
We have a relationship podcast where we get on here and we talk about all the craziness that is our relationship, from our age difference to our therapy to our different how we met, all of that.
And to be determined on other topics.
Correct.
Yeah.
Today's topic, which will kind of almost be continued from last week.
Last week we talked about parenting.
Or last episode, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, parenting's just, that could be a whole, it is whole books, a whole podcast. It's
Yes. It's multiple
people's
episodes
entirety.
of...
Which I don't want to really I don't want us to always go into parenting. I'd like to expand that out, but I feel like we've had a lot of instances the last couple weeks, even before our last episode and after the last episode, just some parenting, I don't even want to say questions, just talks we've had with people.
Yeah.
And just some...
Well, sometimes it is the question. We are in a unique but common situation where a mom or a woman without kids, or even a man without kids for that matter,
Yeah.
gets involved with another person who has kids from a previous relationship and accepting that role of step parenthood.
Yeah.
And it really is a interesting dynamic. It is not for everyone,
Yeah.
and it's very complex.
Yeah, there's some people who just, they know pretty quickly they do not want it to be a part of any type of parenting, step parenting,
Yeah.
responsibility, help. There's
And that's
moments I wonder
that's
about having that
completely fine.
responsibility. But
Yeah, but that's the interesting, because we've got several people that have accepted that relationship
yeah,
and are like, hey, yeah, I'm okay being a step parent, so I'm going to be the step parent, and I'm going to do my best being the step parent. You got other people that have approached us that are like, I've never wanted to be a parent. I'm not interested in the complications of being a step parent, and so maybe that relationship isn't for me. And that is also a discussion for both people
But-
involved.
I don't know. I want to say like part of me thinks I was part of the I didn't want anything to do with it, and then I almost take the commitment I have you a little bit more. I don't want to say seriously, but like there really had to be an outlook like going into me being with you. Now we talked about this on here. We already had established we weren't getting married. Plot twist. Look what happened.
Yep.
But you pretty much from the early get-go said, it's my kid.
Yep.
You have to fit into this. And we talked about my struggles with that,
Yep.
but I had to really do some self-reflection of, do I say I don't want to do it because I'm selfish and I want to be by myself and I don't want to dedicate that time to that, or do I see it through? Now, I saw it through. Some people, like you said, and that's okay if you don't want to be a part of it.
Yes.
But I don't know. I hate to say it's situational, but it is situational. It's your commitment to your partner. It's the knowing that when you do get a child involved, it is no longer about you. And that's hard
Correct,
as a step
yes.
parent going into it.
Yes.
How do I say that this child who is not mine, I put it first? That's a hard wall
Yeah.
to break
Yeah.
for a while. Now now don't get me wrong, we see it all the time. There's parents that are even like that too with their own children, but that's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. Those kind of situations are not good, obviously.
Right.
But going into a step parenting of any sort, it is indeed a lifestyle change.
It is. It is. Again, we say this every episode. For those of you that are viewing for the first time, go back and listen to our 5 previous episodes.
Yeah.
The number one key to any successful and healthy relationship is open communication. You've got to talk about things. You got to, and that starts from the dating process. That even starts at your first date.
Oh yeah, you have to establish that. And like, I would say like as a woman though, you go into it like, no, I can do this. It's fine.
Yep.
What's the worst? We're gonna be great. I'm so swooned by you. I want to do this. Reality starts hitting, and that's when things start really adjusting.
Yes.
And then when you realize, oh my gosh, because it's all cute in the beginning. You've got the kid, you're making a connection, you're getting to see all this quirkiness, you see a different side of your partner. It's so fun and just, it's challenging. But then you start realizing, wait a second, it's more than just a kid's around. You're dealing with, where's the other parent?
Right.
What kind of relationship does that have? Do you have issues do they have issues with you? Do you have to see them on a day-to-day? What kind of trade-offs do you have? There's so many things are intertwined that, yes, I think
And
they
what
start.
complications does that person bring? Like if they're a great co-parent, that makes it a little bit easier. But if they're a
Sometimes,
complicated
yes.
co-parent, if they're bringing extra drama to your life, that also is
And
another
then
thing,
you
because
have-
they're going to be around for that relationship.
Also, I mean, somebody like me, now in the beginning, I know your co-parenting was not on the best level, so
Correct.
that was one scary, but you do have co-parents that they're best friends, and you
Yep.
have to learn to go, okay, there's nothing to be jealous of it.
Yeah.
And that's
being
a
able to detach
scary
from
whole-
that.
That's a very scary stereotype to get past. So you have the expectation when you split as a couple and you have a child. Most of the time, it's not good. You never
Yeah.
ended on good terms. You deal
Yeah.
with it for the child. But
Yeah.
there are some. I even watch them on my reality shows. There's one set of parents on my Real Housewives of New Jersey show, which you yell at me for watching that. But there's one girl on there who's been on there for quite a few seasons. Now their son is an adult son. He's about 19, 20.
Okay.
She lives with her ex-husband and is dating somebody. The ex-husband is building their new home because he's a contractor. And she takes her ex-husband to events because the other guy's a doctor. He's too busy. Like, I would lose my mind. But
Yeah, that's a whole
it works
other
for them.
level.
I could not even give you that comparison.
Yeah.
Or how I would even manage that. It's nothing to her. But even her friends around her are like, "Where's your boyfriend? what is happening?"
Yeah, that takes another level of patience, another level of confidence, another level of communication.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think obviously we have some really good communication, but we've had our challenges with the step parenting
Yeah.
other parent.
Yeah.
We've had our challenges even with the step parent, like that whole relationship between me and my daughter, and you and my daughter, and then me and you
Yeah.
with my daughter, like learning, what the boundaries are. And we've even adjusted some of mine and my daughter's boundaries for mine and my wife's boundaries, and that's
Well,
also important as well.
If you're okay with me talking about it,
Yeah,
I'll give
yeah.
that example.
Open book.
My biggest thing, now she was young, and part of me feels guilty for it, but we started getting
no.
older. So we are grateful to be able to provide Kiri the home we have for her. Kiri in the beginning, because of separation, was going through a lot of separation anxiety between you and her mother. So
Yes.
at nights, Kiri needed to be next to you 24/7. I can't touch you. I can't not touch you, and then I'll go to sleep.
I also think that is, not to interrupt you, let's talk about, there's a twofold reason in that.
Yes.
So one, because my daughter, so when I'd go pick her up at times, and this was early on, she was so bonded with her mom because of the early connection separation, right? Like she had more time with her mom early on. I wanted the 50-50. We didn't have the 50-50 at the time. So she had developed this relationship with her mom and was almost resistant to the change. Now, my daughter has always loved me, but if I would go pick her up, she would run to other rooms and hide, and there was this very complicated, I want to be with dad, I love my dad, but I don't want to leave my mom.
And that was a 4-year-old trying to navigate
Yes.
that when I met her at least.
And so for me, I wanted to create more of that bond so there would be less of that anxiety of
Yes.
separating from her mom. That, hey, both places are good, safe places. Both are with people you love, this kind of situation. And then in that, she would come over and I would want that bond,
Yeah.
obviously. But that also, for her security, she wanted that bond. And then there was the added of you feeling out that situation. And I think that's
Yes.
where you were going with that.
Because for me, my observation with it is, because this is when she was young, so we would
Yeah.
do bedtime at like 7:30.
Yeah.
And when this process started, now our home is not, it's not huge, and that's okay. I'm happy with that. Like,
Yeah. But we have our room. She had her own bedroom.
and we had a living room.
And we had a living
But
room.
we
Yep.
choose not to. Now, this is our own thing. We choose not to have a TV in our bedroom.
Correct.
We don't. And that's just, as you joke, there's only 2 things that should be going on in the bedroom, and sleeping's one of them.
Yep.
Not watching TV. Now, we'll bring our phones, whatever. And I could have done that, but I wanted to make sure, because like we've talked about in previous episodes, I would distance myself. So I wanted to be present for the 2 of them, but the problem is, at 7:30, the house would have to shut down, lights off, we're sitting on the couch, being as quiet as possible for Kiri to go to sleep. And then it'd be another hour and a half, 2 hours before we take her to bed.
Yep.
And so by that time, it's 9:30, depending on what time it is. 9:30, 10 o'clock, you're putting her to bed.
Yep.
And it was constant. And it really, part of me, because my anxiety was the way it was, I was getting very resentful and angry over it because
Right.
our evenings were the one time that I felt like we had, especially when we had her, to be able to talk because we had work. We
Yes.
had, I mean, that was kind of COVID time, so I had
Yep.
a different job. You were working Orange Hat at the time.
Yes.
It was our only time to just talk. And see, now, we've joked about it on this podcast and Waking Up Brewery. I go to sleep early. I do.
Not even necessarily early. It is your body and brain are almost wired
I shut
at
down.
10 o'clock.
I shut.
Yeah.
Well, and we've read articles. You joke with me.
Yep.
But there is something about when you are next to that person, that you're
Yes.
the person that makes you feel safe, your partner.
Yep.
And you lay
You
down.
just get comfortable.
You get comfortable, and your body's
Yeah,
out.
you feel safe in that.
But I get, for that time frame too, I was so high strung that I feel like even now I do it. The moment I do sit, I'm like a child. I'm out.
Yeah.
I finally sit still.
So that limited even more
Yes.
of our time together.
And it was fine for a while, but you could tell I was getting frustrated. And we finally just sat down and I had the conversation of like, I think she hit a certain age, and I was like, listen, we really need to try to encourage her to go to her bed. And we
Yep.
started it. We would get her on the couch, let her sleep for a while, take her to bed. It was a transition.
Yep.
It was tough and it was weird for her. Now, the child does great with it now.
Yeah, no,
But-
she has her own room. She's in there. She will watch something on TV.
Yes.
And
But we gave her the confidence that it's okay, we're in here.
yes,
But, well, once again, all this started with a conversation, but it caused a lot of dilemmas for us. Those were
yeah,
moments
there was serious relationship problems
Uh-huh.
for me and you in that, and that's what I'm saying. Like every relationship like this, that is a very transitional phase of her not being a parent, me being a parent, her deciding if being a parent is part of what she's looking for.
Yeah.
Me deciding, is this
Well-
partner somebody I want my daughter emulating? Those are all conversations.
Yeah, and I was not a great partner in those moments. Not that I was a bad partner, I was very troubled with it. But also, I don't know if we ever talked about it, we did move in together 6 months into dating.
Correct.
So we took a pretty big leap of faith. Early in my standards. I know you've been with women and have done that. I've never done that. So that was a very big moment.
I
too.
have never, no, one time I moved in with somebody who
Yeah.
had a kid.
No, we're not even kidding. Moving
but-
in with a partner that quickly.
Oh, yeah, no, that's happened.
I stayed with my ex-husband on and off pretty much the moment we met, but I never
Yeah.
lived with him until about a year, maybe past him, maybe 2 years into it. We actually fully lived together. Now,
Right.
granted, I stayed out wherever he was at, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They say I left home pretty early, but I still had a home to go back to. It never was my home until
Right.
we got a home. But we took a pretty big leap of faith, and I did that really not going too much into thinking about her. And that sounds horrible. I did.
No.
I wanted to be around you. We had a good connection.
Yeah.
We just kind of knew instantly it was going to work. But then all the real stuff starts coming out. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing the reality of what day to day is. And at the
Yeah.
time, small
Not even
child.
just day to day, it was week on, week off. So
Yeah.
we when I finally got the 50-50 custody, we had 1 day or 1 week off, 1 week on. And obviously when the 1 week off without my daughter, pretty great in general.
In the beginning, yes, we would
Yeah.
have a blast. We'd go do everything.
But the tension would come with her there, and the whole dynamic of mine and Kayla's relationship kind of changed in that every other week.
It sounds horrible. I know I would get super anxious knowing
Yeah.
the week was about to change.
Yeah.
And I know you were because you knew I was going to start
Yeah.
getting, my
Yeah.
personality was going to start changing.
Yeah.
And now, granted, in his defense, he could have left too. Nobody really wants to put their daughter in that situation or their child in general.
Right. Yep.
Once again, I wish I could have an answer of why we stuck through it, but I mean, of course, now where we're at, I see why. But
yeah.
it's still scary.
Absolutely
in the
worth it,
beginning.
though.
It's still scary. You don't know.
Yeah,
Do I want my partner around this? Do I want to be involved with this?
Correct.
It was scary, but I also, like I said, I think therapy helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know. It just, I think finally just talking and really, we probably went through a big argument with it, and that's kind of what did it.
We had a couple of big arguments
Yeah.
about it. It was And it's fair to have these arguments and these disagreements and these discussions, and all of the opinions in that are very valid. For example, again, we've talked about this on previous episodes of the damage we've come from previous relationships, right?
Yes.
So there was a neglect of attention for Kayla in previous relationships, and now she's in a relationship where she's not, 1 week on, 1 week off, she's not the most important person in the situation.
That sounds horrible, but yeah.
It does sound horrible. That's what I'm saying. But that kid has to be a big part of that relationship and a big part of the decisions that are being made. Now, I'm also a firm believer in love my daughter. Would do anything for her, kill her. Let me preface that. I also think the most important relationship, and this is a controversial opinion. There are a lot of people that talk about this, and I'd love to hear your opinions. You can make those in the comments, but...
Or email us at wakingup@brewery.com.
Correct.
Paired by beer does not work.
Correct. But was, I think, the parental relationship. Previously, it was me and her mother. Now it is me and her stepmother. Bonus mom.
Bonus mom.
As we all like to call it, because it really is a bonus. She has a great relationship on both of those. But that relationship has to be healthy and first.
Yes.
Like I said, love my daughter, and not to diminish my relationship with her at all. But for me, the most important thing my daughter sees in all of this is that sees what a healthy relationship is. Demonstrating what two parents on the same page, agreeing on things.
I agree.
Showing a level of affection towards each other that is appropriate in front of her.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And showing her so that she can grow up and know what a man should be, so she can accept that. How a woman should act, so she can accept that and emulate that. To give her healthy boundaries as she moves into dating and relationships for the future, so she can actually have healthy relationships despite the broken relationship of me and her mom.
I agree. I think as a kid too, you don't realize how important that is. But the one thing I would love seeing is when my parents would just sit in the living room and laugh. Knowing my parents were happy, even though I saw really bad times, the good really meant a lot for us to see.
Yep.
And having those moments to just keep in our heart for that. Like, I know she wants to come out every time we start laughing or anything to be a part of it.
Yes.
Part of me as a kid always kept back from that.
Here's the other side of it though. She also wants to come out when we're having those bad moments.
Oh, it breaks my heart now because she immediately goes, "Are you breaking up?"
Yes.
She has
She
an
loves
association
us
with
together.
fight.
She loves Kayla. Kayla is even more than her bonus mom. And she doesn't call her mom. She calls her Kayla.
I don't ask her to call me mom.
No,
I think
we've
any
told her
step-parent,
she can call her whatever.
I would say I'm gonna be this person. If you're a step parent that requires your child to say mom or dad to you, you should be punished.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I'll deck you in the face.
Yeah, you're wrong. But because she loves Kayla so much, and she loves our relationship so much, and she loves
cares
our
about
threesome so much, and also she recognizes that there is some damage from my relationship with her mom. We had moments where we would yell at each other, and she still views that as, hey, they're apart because of that. So she gets in moments where she's like, I don't want to lose this relationship.
Yeah.
And that
she's honest. She'll just come out
and
and
she will
ask
come
us.
out and ask us. And sometimes it's me and Kayla because I get excited or passionate
Your
about
tone of voice raises
a
so
topic.
much.
I start getting loud. And it's not even in an angry tone. It's just louder because I'm passionate or excited about
on here.
something.
I literally will have to grab his leg or just somehow touch him just to notice, like, you are screaming in this building.
And I never notice it.
Yes,
I really
no.
don't. It's just something I'm excited or passionate about. Not in an angry way at all.
when I do it because I'm like, I am not trying to get you to calm down. I'm just trying to get you to lower the voice.
Yep.
That is all.
Yes, and so me and Kayla will have discussions, passionate discussions about any number of things,
Or
whether it's
anything,
a TV show or
yes.
whatever. I mean,
It could have been about the way I cooked eggs that morning, or how he wants to cook eggs. And
Correct.
I've started the carnivore diet, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
God dang it.
yeah, or even funny, like it'll be even an idea about something I want to do with the podcast.
Or if you've woken up and had a dream.
yeah, like all of that will come into play, and so I will get louder and louder. And Kiri's just recognizing the
Tone of voice.
the tone of voice and the level of voice,
Yep.
and she'll be like, "Are you guys okay? Are you arguing?" And then
Are you fighting?
even more, it's so much more abrupt than even you putting your hand on my leg. It's so much more abrupt for me to go, "Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
it's not that," and then have to reassure her on that.
Now, she's caught us fighting. We've talked about it. I think
Yeah.
we've talked about it on here. We fought, and she thought, well, I think we had joked. Well, not, no, I take that back. We didn't joke. We threw out divorce in front of
Yeah.
her, and she freaked. So you have to be mindful of those things. But,
Yep.
you know, it was, I don't want to, it seems like people meet me and it was so easy for me. I will look at all of you and say the exact opposite. It was one of the most difficult things I have done. But I watch some of the people I know, and it probably, everybody has their own story with it. But you're going to feel like you are failing at everything as a step parent, and a parent, obviously.
Yeah.
But you really are doing the best you can. And I wish I give myself more credit of where I've come from.
Honestly, your path has been amazingly and always upwardly mobile.
Because I literally would murder for her now.
But yeah,
can't
literally,
say that on
when
YouTube.
when
I
things
would-
happen around her, whether it's school
I would
or
have
anything,
a really, really strong conversation with somebody. I can't say I'd murder them, but
yeah,
I wouldn't murder her.
Yeah.
But we'd have a really big discussion, which I've even gotten to points on the phone calls with teachers I chime in because I'm
Yeah.
just getting irritated with it.
yeah, Kayla has adopted the mother role as much as if she'd given birth to Kiri herself.
Which, that's a good transition. We've been asked a question recently that you got asked and I got asked.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who, not
Yeah,
going to
no,
say where, no context to that.
has nothing to do
Those
with
are all
this.
personal conversations.
Yeah.
But something I have even thought about, obviously we don't have children.
Correct.
And we, God willing, we are the end all be all for each other.
Yeah.
Until you die first.
Yep. Which I'm.
Ideally, if that a
In
perfect
all
world,
odds.
a perfect world, you die of old age.
Yeah.
So, have I ever wanted children? For one,
Yeah.
of course, every woman, in my opinion, wants a child. I think they're not. You at least naturally feel like that is a purpose. You grow out of that. Some
Yes.
people do, some people don't.
Yes.
I've met plenty of women who do not want children.
Yes.
But there is a naturalness to saying, you know what, maybe I should have kids.
Yes.
I have had that, we have had that discussion. I have cried over that discussion before because there is a part of me that societally, is that a societally? Societal? Society?
societally, yep.
Societally has put on a woman. That is your purpose. That is what you're meant to do. You are meant to birth babies and be.
I don't think it's even just societal. I think there is a
I think you grow up that way too.
instinctual
I mean, think of
moment for
children's
women.
toys. They have baby dolls.
No, there's that.
Strollers.
There's
Yeah.
that. That is absolutely
raise a little girl and
societal
think, "I'm having a
construct
baby."
of telling you
Yes.
this.
They push it in front of kids. They had a Barbie that had belly.
Yes, but here I'll also say is the very one thing that all women have in common as a natural, complete thing that is special to women and women only is the fact of them being able to bring life into this world.
Oh, yeah.
So at some point along this line, and I've dated women that wanted children, I've dated women that have not wanted children. I even had an ex-wife who didn't want children when I met her, and I relinquished myself to the idea is that, okay, we're not having children. But later on, after that relationship ended, she had another relationship with somebody else where she wanted children later in life. And that's also something that may happen. That's always a discussion, and there's a complete right to have all of those feelings.
Yeah.
And there's always a complete right to change your mind on those feelings.
Yeah, I mean, you grow with that too. Like,
Yeah.
I will say, my personal experience, I went into my last marriage young and dumb, and thinking I was on the time clock of okay, we've done this, we got the house, we got married, we need to have the baby, we need to do all the things. I have
Yep.
dogs, I have a cat, I have everything I'm supposed to be taking care of. I need more. And vice versa, ex-husband didn't want children,
Yep.
but my perception is we were getting towards that.
Yeah.
We got the bigger car, we got the house, we were renovating, we were doing all these things. But we know how that one went, and
Correct.
that was all a big bunch of horse shit. But you know.
But
But-
here's the thing.
yeah.
You're valid in your decision to not have kids.
Yes.
You're valid to change your mind later on down the road that you do want kids, or you're also valid all the way through you don't want kids. But that discussion, when you're getting into a relationship, in any relationship, has to happen at the beginning of that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even care if it's first date. If you were set that you want kids,
Well, we watch dating shows like that. They talk immediately, like those really was like rushed ones, like
Oh, yeah.
like Perfect Match. Like
yeah,
you want to have married, you want to
perfect
get married, and
match,
have babies.
90 Day Fiance.
Well, realistically, any dating
yeah.
show. I mean,
Those are things that, unfortunately, in so many relationships, that discussion happens so far down the line that you've already got that emotional connection.
but also too, I will say I'm a little guilty of this. This sounds horrible because don't overthink it. We're fine now. We've talked about it. We've probably realistically, when we first met, I should have said yes. I'm still probably interested in having children, and
Yeah.
it would have changed our entire relationship. But you get
Probably.
so infatuated, and you're feeling all the good things, and you've met somebody new, and you're like, I don't want to. Let's not be real about it because I want to mess everything up.
Right.
The marriage thing,
Right.
obviously, we jumped through the hoop for.
Yep.
We knew what we were dealing with, but the kid thing, I also was not sure, and I really wasn't on
Right.
my radar at the time either. So it was hard for me to say, you know what, maybe, because I just genuinely did not know.
Yeah.
But yes, I have even I have had a couple little drunk nights to cry about it.
Yeah.
But I think there's just something internally that I just do have to get out because I push that down a lot. I don't talk about it.
Right.
But I think there's a lot more trauma with that of like, my mom wanted me to have kids and now I don't have my mom and you
Right.
know, I have a baby and it's not gonna have that, like all the things I had as
Right.
a kid. It would have a great two loving parents, yes, but it would have a great bonus daughter. It would have all the things, but
Well, let's go ahead and say
Half-sister.
this one that you've brought up when we've had those discussions as a step parent, is that down the road, because you guys know our age difference. If you don't know our age difference, we again mentioned that on earlier episodes that are audio only. Paired by Beer, they're also under our Waking Up in a Brewery umbrella.
Yeah.
But we've discussed, because of the age difference, that odds are, again, because of that, I'm gonna die. And her mindset is, because my daughter is actually my daughter and not her daughter, that she's not gonna have anybody down the road.
Oh yeah, I think about it all the time. I think I'm going to be alone and crippled and nobody's going to love me and I'm going to die on my dog sanctuary in the middle of nowhere on
Yeah.
my farmhouse, and which is not a bad idea, but I'll still be alone. But it's still
but again, I also know that because of this huge bond and relationship
I know, but
that Kayla has with Kiri, that's always going to be there, regardless of whether I'm there or not.
it
This
sounds
is
so
always
selfish. I
going to
had
be
this
that.
talk with somebody else recently, and her and I both understood the same mindset. Like, we are very independent women. We will be okay.
Yeah.
It is just still the idea of what happens.
What
It's
happens
the fear
next.
of the unknown.
Yeah.
It's the fear of the
Yep.
unknown with it. And if I fall and can't hit my life alert button and my dog can't do it, who's going to do it for me? So, but also too, at the same time, that's negative of me to already project having a baby to take care of me when I'm older. That's not right. And I realize, and I've talked to you about that too.
There's some realism to that too.
But I've talked to you about that. Like, why
yeah.
go ahead and project the idea of like, yes, I would love to create life with you. I would. It would be so beautiful and unique, and you're the only person I'd ever want to do that with.
Right.
But I'm okay with it not being in our cards.
Right.
And another question that goes into a part two was, will I ever resent you for it? And I will never resent you
Fair.
because at that
Yeah.
point, that is my choice. That is not just your choice.
And here's the other thing, and that goes back to what I was even hitting on. If you can get this discussion made early, in the relationship as early as you can. Like I said, you can do this on the first date. This will disqualify a lot of the people in your life that you choose.
If you're in it to be serious, though.
Yeah.
That's my thing. If you're just dating to date, that's different.
I don't think you should date to date.
People do, though. That's the culture
They do.
now, though.
They do. I don't think you should date to date. I think you should date to find your mate.
But there's people there that have never dated, so they date to find out what they want. There is that aspect too.
Yeah, and in that process, you narrow down what you want.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you are dating, you are looking for a partner, so.
That's my point, and a long-term partner in general. But like I said, it'll weed out a lot of guys. It'll weed out a lot of girls. You may meet if you're a guy and you meet a girl and she's like, I absolutely don't want kids. That needs to be on your radar.
Now, my brother,
look at that on your list. Maybe that's not right now. Maybe
my
that
brother's
changes.
like that. Now, my brother will go on dates, but he does not go on dates with somebody he's not interested in. Like every guy he goes out with, it is still the intention to date long term.
Yes.
It may not last long, but he dates to date.
I think most people do date to date.
Yeah.
I think this is a new creation, a new societal creation of we're just going to date around. I think it's neglectful. I think it's harmful to that. I think it creates damage anytime that breaks up, and then you carry that luggage with you into the next relationship.
I mentally couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I think it's just smarter to, if you are going to date around, those purposes should be to narrow down what you want and what you don't want.
Yes.
But still have that discussion, and especially as early in the relationship as you possibly can, have that discussion about how you feel about kids, and both of you, because it does put a lot more stress into that relationship if you go into it and you already know, if you already know who you are and you don't want kids.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was crap.
But it's easier because if you're getting into a relationship with somebody that already has kids,
Yeah.
and you don't want kids, you need to know that as well. Quickly.
I'm not going to resent you. That is a tough one. Like,
Yep.
I would resent you if we never had the conversation. That would be
Correct.
another thing.
You had every opportunity to make those decisions
Yeah, and I've made
because you
them for
knew
me,
the
and I'm-
situation you were going into.
And it's more, like I said, that was a lot of lack of confidence of
Yeah.
where am I going to be when I am 60, 70. And at that point, I feel like if I've made it to that point, I've lived a pretty comfortable, happy life.
Yeah.
And whatever brings of that, I'm going to trust it.
But again, I know people that are in relationships where even the parental relationship is changing. So for example, one person early on may not have full custody of their kids, but are fighting for full custody. And the other person doesn't want kids,
Well,
but they're heading into
that's a whole
that
different thing for your
decision.
relationship too. If, okay, your person didn't have custody. What happened? Why don't they have custody?
Exactly.
Is it something with them? Was it something with the parenting plan? There's so many different factors
Yeah.
of evaluating your person in that moment
Yeah.
too. It's
Yes.
a judgment of character you really have to go with. Or you're right, you just go into it and there's a lot of baggage that comes with a child that you really don't find out until you are deeper into that relationship
Yep.
and married. And sometimes
Yep.
you are married at that point and you start
Yep.
realizing, oh my gosh, what is this? But I think that's the critical part about talking to each other and learning all those things before you do it.
And even this, here is one that is a very, very difficult thing to get on, is because I had this struggle with when I would date women who had already had kids,
Yeah.
okay? And they had custody or whatever, but I'm coming in as the step parent. What is the parenting style? And what does your role as a step parent play in that parenting style?
Ours
So
kind of
for
went
example,
together.
yeah, yes. And I want to get to that here in a second, but I would have some women that you're not allowed to say anything to my child. You're not allowed to correct my child. You're not allowed to be a part of that parenting plan. You just have to
But yet you can be around them?
Yeah, you have to accept how I'm going to discipline them or not discipline
If that
them.
works for them, that works for them.
Yeah, rarely worked for me because I believe in you. Your parents are your parents, and you date/marry somebody who you want your child to emulate.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, so I picked Kayla because I love the qualities about her, and I
was
wanted
a young,
my
hot babe. I'm just kidding.
not just that, but yes, but I wanted my daughter to emulate your qualities.
Murder you.
Yeah.
It's not why.
Not just that
I
is
know,
what I'm
just
saying.
kidding.
But I see this often in the parent is like, okay, this is my way of parenting. And then the step parent comes in and they're like, well, this is my way of parenting, and it's very almost diametrically opposed to each other. And that's a discussion that has to be made as well. Like, I want my daughter to graduate from high school, and I want her to act like a lady, and I want her to have
And
these
even
values.
If it does happen post-marriage, like, you still need to talk about it.
Well, honestly, it's worse if it happens post-marriage,
I know.
because that creates even more of a conflict of
Yeah.
there's this fight of this child is acting this way, but this parent doesn't want me to have a say-so in how that is parenting, even though that parenting plan completely affects our household and our relationship and all of that. It really comes into play into the entire relationship. So I would, again, recommend have all of those very serious discussions about somebody, especially if you're dating somebody who is already a parent and they're
Yeah.
you're coming in
And
without a child.
Here's the crappy part, though. Not crappy, and it's not. I take that back. It's not crappy. That is not the appropriate word to use. As you get older and date, though, I feel like it's a pretty big gamble to find somebody without children for the direction you're
Yeah, the
looking
older
at.
you get, it's harder.
Yes, I mean, people who start dating mid-30s, early
Yep.
40s, late
Yep.
40s, 50s even.
Odds are you're going to
you're
meet somebody
finding
that has a
people
kid.
that have kids, grandkids. I mean,
Yeah.
It's inevitable right
Yeah.
now. If you are adamant you don't want somebody with that, life will find a way, as
Yep.
I like to say. It will happen, but pickings are a little slim on that one. And just here's my reason. Why don't they have children? What has happened? What is their thought process on it? Do they even, there's so many different factors.
Yeah.
Kids can say a lot about a person, but not your entire personality, but they can just kind of show the direction of your life
Yeah.
or what you're wanting. But I don't ever believe in letting, now where we're at, I don't ever believe in letting the kids dictate our relationship.
Oh, no,
And that's kind of what I
absolutely
had to
not.
break the mold of, like, listen, I know, I had to really accept the kid's the kid. She has the issue she has going on.
Yep.
But all I can do is do my part to help and help her succeed and grow and set my boundaries, set her boundaries, and it's work.
Yeah.
And as long as I told you what I'd like to see happen,
Yep.
let you process it, let you find your way to tweak that however best fit for her. You know her better than I do.
Right.
And we're able to make that work and happen.
Well,
It's not realistic always for everybody.
I will also tell you this. One of the key parts of our parenting plan is in front of that child, we back each other's play,
Yeah.
whether we agree with it or not. So sometimes Kayla will say, okay, this is how things are going to go.
Yep.
This happened. You're getting this type of admonishment, discipline, whatever that is. And this is why, and period. This is how
It
it
took
is.
a long time to get to that point too,
It did.
because I
It
never
did.
wanted to do anything to
Well,
overstep you.
I also told you, this, do it. If you feel this way, go ahead and embrace
Yeah.
that. And then in front of that child, my child, I would, whatever Kayla says is go. I don't care what she told you. I don't care how unfair you feel it is, short of Kayla abusing her, which Kayla would never do. But you
I
don't
might
want
throw
to.
her out the window,
Yeah,
but that's
you,
about it.
you don't enable the parent for abuse, but you absolutely don't enable the child to have more control and more power
That's a
over
lot
your
of trust
partner.
in your partner too. to
Yeah,
know
well,
that
again, that all happens during the dating process and those conversations.
if you're at a point where you as a step parent and a parent have decided to allow the step parent to start disciplining, you got to be on the same page.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
no other way. You start seeing that the kid's smart enough, the kid's already been through enough
yeah.
with your two parents,
Yep.
let alone bringing the third party in.
They're gonna manipulate
They've worked
every part of
entire
that.
thing. They
Yep.
know what they can get away with.
But here's the thing, me and Kayla don't always agree in the moment of that discipline.
No. Even
But-
I'll look at him and I'm like, moments for you, I'll even question,
Yeah.
was that the right thing? Should we have done that? And then same, you probably should have toned it down.
But in the moment, she backs me and I back her.
Yep.
because that kid needs to see a unified front, because that child needs to, number one, know that they can't manipulate you.
Yeah.
They're not going to play you two off of each
Now,
other.
there's been moments though you've caught me off guard. Sorry, that you're like right in front of him. You're like, no, calm down.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. Sometimes that is very abrupt. Most of the time, though,
Yes.
we have that discussion after the fact and away from the child.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay too. As long as you're creating those open lines of communication that are not attacking each
Yeah.
other, but having a discussion what's best for that relationship and our relationship.
Yeah. Because hell, she's at a point now. She don't do shit for you sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
she is.
until I come home, she's like, oh shit, I gotta do it now.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Like that makes me sad sometimes. But I'm like, I don't know what's created that.
Well, it's kind of, part of it
That's
is
a tough one.
part of it is my fault of not enforcing in the moment, and part of it is she has so much respect for you that she wants your acceptance and to see that she will respond more to
Yeah.
that. It goes both ways.
And she will
Other
do
times
what you
though,
need her to do.
yeah.
It just depends on what her brain's doing. at the
Other
time.
times, though, that she will be out of control with you, that it literally takes the dad voice
Oh yeah.
to shut that down. So
There's been
it's
plenty of times you've come home and I'm just crying
Yeah.
because I'm just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And there's moments where she does know better, which is it's a kid being a kid at the
Yeah.
same time. But I've had to just look at you and be like, I need you to deal with it. I
Yep.
can't. And we just get to that point with each other of telling each other, I need you to step in for this one, and vice versa. 'Cause
but the great thing is, if you're communicating to each other, if you have a good working knowledge of each other, of how you want to guide this child through life, and you get on the same page of how you want to parent this,
yeah.
again, you back each other up in the moments, and outside of those moments, you discuss, hey, how could we have done this better? Whether it's how, as a parent, I could have done better, or as a step parent, how you could have
Then
done
there's
better.
moments we look at each other and I'm like, did we do it right? And you're like, I don't
And-
know.
and
I'm
both
so
of us
mad.
should,
I
yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just
Because here's the other thing,
happens.
it's the only child I've got. There's no handbook to it.
no. Well, any child, yeah. There's
Yeah,
nobody.
there's no handbook to
nobody
any of
worked
it.
that
You're
out with
winging
her.
it as you go, especially with your first child, and your only child. So, but it's so incredibly important to be on the same page with your partner.
Yeah.
Not with your child and not with your ex-partner. Whatever happens with your other parent that is not in that relationship, that's completely separate. Me and my ex-wife have pretty different parenting styles.
Yes.
And my daughter goes to her mom's house, and that's decisions that her mom makes there
No,
on
like
how they're going to
letting
parent.
Each other know like major issues going on.
Yes, there's
with
always an
school
open
or
communication
aftercare,
on
yeah.
that, and that's a co-parenting thing. But back in our household, that can be a completely different discussion, a completely different way of parenting, and it's also setting those standards and expectations for that child. The child needs boundaries, looking for those boundaries, looking for where it's different or better or worse or
Kids are
however.
smart.
They are smart, and they're smarter than you give them credit for. But they will also find their balance in life on what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And the truth is they're gonna gain the pluses from both relationships and eventually discard the bad things from both relationships. So whenever she's learning with her mom, there's probably some good stuff she's gaining out of that. And there's some bad stuff she's later in life gonna go, that doesn't work for me. And then she's gonna come back to our house, and there's gonna be things that she learns about how to act and how to behave in our house and what's
Yeah.
acceptable, and also what to throw away from that
Yeah.
in later relationships. So again, you and your partner are the most important part of the relationship of raising the child.
Yeah.
Creating a harmonic relationship, a conversational relationship, a trust relationship, so that you can have a harmonious relationship together with your children, without disrupting your own. Because the worst case is you've already had one broken relationship in front of your child. They already understand that. To have multiple disruptions of relationships for that child leads them down a path of not believing in healthy relationships or not even know how to form healthy relationships. So super important to make those communications early, to discuss the direction you want for your life with your partner as well as the life for your child, and what their significant roles are in each of them. Being able to trust them with parenting decisions, if you're going to include them you're obviously, if you're going to marry them or they're going to be there for a long periods of time, they need to have that power, or else it's literally you and your child running over your significant other that you chose to spend your life with. And that's completely unfair.
And make sure you make the time, I think it's very vital, especially when you go into a step parenting situation, making sure you do have to time manage, having the individual time for you and your daughter, for me and her, or all three of us, and the time for you and I, and time to separately get out whatever frustrations we have and still make time to go do our own thing to enjoy the day.
Well, and I'm going to say this because, again, we have a very great relationship on all those points. We have a week on, week off without my daughter. On the weeks that I'm with my daughter, that we're with our daughter, we spend time with her to make that valuable time for her.
We drag her places.
We also don't neglect doing the things with each other just because she's there. We still we'll go to a tap room, and she likes being in a tap room.
We go to a family-friendly brewery.
Correct.
She's got things to do.
Exactly,
She can
and
get
that's
food.
part of
we
that.
Make a day of it.
We're not excluding her out of the experience, but we're not separating her from the experience.
But we
either.
also now we bring the dogs with us. And
Correct.
we make it a family day out. Or anywhere we go at that point. Now with movies, we usually, if we go to a movie with her, we let her pick the movie. That's something we typically let her do.
But then again, on the other week or the other times for you, I don't know what your parenting schedule is, but on those times, you need to spend that time focused on your partner. Do things together. Go out together doing adult things with each other. So you can have those times where you're building on your relationship with your partner, and then you're also, in the other times, you and your partner are building your relationship with your child. Those should all be inclusive. In fact, go out and find other friends and family that have children, have stepchildren even, and get them all together. Even if the children are different age groups, there's things that those children are going to learn from each other. There's going to be things that they're going to see in the partnerships. All of those things are very important. Spend time with your children as co-parenting and parenting. Spend time with your partner that's not about children, and make sure those are quality time. And that may not be your love language. Quality time may not be it, but make it included in part of the time that you spend with your kids.
It's a kid's love language early on is quality time.
Yes. Well, every moment that your kid gets with you, if it's your specific child, all the moments are very important. But it's even healthier if you're the step parent to spend time, even single time. Like, I encourage my daughter to go do bonus mom stuff to help increase that bond.
Space too, because
You're not always going to want that, but there also needs to be that healthy relationship. On a one-on-one between
her and I have developed that. I mean, she has had the opportunity to come to work with me, go see my family, do all when you've had to work specifically too. I mean, we've kind of made that agreement. If we will do whatever we can to not look for extra child care. Not in a bad way, but we just our schedules and our jobs make it flexible enough to be able to take her places.
One of my pet peeves about step parenting is this mindset that you think that child, because it's not yours, is not your responsibility. Once you've married into a relationship with a stepchild, it is absolutely your responsibility. And that's also the discussion you need to have at the beginning of that relationship.
Agreed.
It is your responsibility. You may not have birthed that child, but you are as much as that child's parent as that child has
And
ever
I'm
had.
trying to teach her she's still a reflection of me and you when she's out
Yeah,
in public,
absolutely.
and her mother. But I mean, of
Yep.
course, we try to push that when she's the leads with us. We just
Yep.
try to create that dynamic.
But you need to accept that. Do not shirk that responsibility. If you are going to be a parental figure, partner to your spouse that has children,
Yeah.
my goodness, it is even more imperative for both of you to have that conversation.
Yeah.
That is your responsibility. You need to accept it, or just don't be in the relationship, because I think it's stupid and irresponsible to not accept that responsibility coming in.
If you are in a relationship, we've got 5 minutes left.
Yep.
If you're in a relationship with a child and you are still questioning if it's for you because you don't know if you want to be involved,
Yeah.
I'm okay with you giving it time, but I think you already have told yourself the answer. It's not the relationship
Yep.
for you. The more you drag it out, the worse it's going to get for you.
Yeah,
and
because
for
that
them.
child is still going to bond with you
Yes.
regardless. And you disconnecting yourself with
Yes.
it is even more psychologically damaging,
100%.
just because children are going to constantly make those connections. So I'll even tell you, don't introduce your child if you're just dating around.
And if you think about it, kids are so selfish internally, not in a bad way. That's just naturally. A child
Yes.
does not know how to really empathize too much.
Correct.
But the common thing you hear when kids hear parents fighting or they're divorced, it was my fault.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're going to create a new relationship with somebody like that,
Yeah.
they're immediately going to go, it's my fault.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind. You're making a very big, impactful decision on a child's life.
That is not affecting just you. It's not affecting just
It's
your
something they
significant
get to
other.
carry.
It's literally affecting the psychology and future of that child.
And perception of a relationship.
Yep.
And
You-
that's one thing you have to look at is you're trying to improve their life with
Yep.
it. And if you're not going to be that, you need to
Yep.
step away. Not meaning you need to be perfect. I want them to see a real
But be
human.
responsible.
Yeah.
Be responsible when dealing with a single parent.
Yep.
It's a tough place to be. It is a valuable place to be.
It is.
I will also tell you this. I've never known a parent to ever say, I wish I didn't have that kid. I've never heard it. I have heard many people go, I never want kids. Glad I didn't have kids, but I've never heard any parent say, I wish I hadn't had that kid. So I will tell you, there's a lot of value in being a parent or a step parent. There's a lot of blessings to go with that. So make those decisions with all seriousness, all responsibility,
Yeah.
moving into that.
I had someone tell me this past weekend, kind of the same conversation of that moment of you question your purpose as a step parent.
Yeah.
And why was I put here for this if I'm never going to do the parenting thing?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you get into the faithful side of it, if you want to, you don't have to. But you were put here to be their little guardian angel. It wasn't to
Correct.
be. It wasn't necessarily to be a full parent, but you're there to be their protector and their guider without them
Yep.
even realizing.
Well, that's also why we use the term bonus mom
Yep.
instead of a step parent. Instead of a step parent, they're a bonus parent.
Yep.
Especially if there's still a relationship with both of their actual parents. Like
Yep.
my daughter has a great relationship with her mom. She has a great relationship with me. She has a great relationship with Kayla. Kayla is her bonus mom. She has two moms and a dad, and
Yep.
that is a fantastic place to be because she gets a lot of love and a lot of guidance through that. So.
Well, we're tapped out for the
We're at the end, yep.
We were here, we're paired by beer. We'll be back at some point. Thanks for chiming in live with you.
Let us know if you like doing the video. We may do more in the future, but we're
Yeah, we'll
always
see.
going to continue doing audio.
Yes, we will continue doing audio. All previous episodes are on all the audio good things. If you have questions, email us at wakingupinabrewery@gmail.
Correct.
Not paired by beer. wakingupinabrewery.com or wakingupinabrewery@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
And yeah, make sure you're following us on our pages.
Oh, also come out to Hexagon.
Come
Have
out
some
to
great
Hexagon.
beers. They will take care of you, and they've got a large menu and a
And the
huge
cool thing is
space.
you go to Hexagon, and then you can go down the road if you're sober enough and you're safe, or you have a designated driver. Go down to Fountain City Social because it's down the road.
Fountain City Social, Fanatic.
Elst is down this way.
Elst is still down there.
All right.
And then Ebony and Ivory, all right there. So come do it.
Cheers, guys. We appreciate you. Have a good one.
I'm gonna go turn that off.
Yeah,
You okay
audio-
with that?
Yeah, audio's good.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not. But
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna go turn that off.
I'll do it. Somebody was chimed in. Somebody else was chimed in. I don't know who it was. Somebody.
Do what?
One person was watching.